All right. All right. I think we're live once again, YouTube. We made it back. It's been a long week, or it's not been a week because we haven't been on here. I think we've overcome some technical difficulties, YouTube, Google glitches, and whatever else our problems were that we couldn't get on here. But hope everybody out there is doing well. The whole Northeast got swallowed up this week, it looked like, once again, with more snow than I think they expected. Delaware Patriot did a good video last night of his situation and his snow that he was getting at the time. That was very interesting. Had a lot of down trees and all that good stuff. But as you can see, there's a big green blob over here on the West Coast now. We're getting our share. It's definitely a gully washer outside for us right now. The mountains are getting feet of snow, measured in the feet at a time. So as to get colder, it was pretty high up. You had to go up above 7,000 feet yesterday. It'll probably drop down to about 6,000 tonight. But here in the valleys, we'll be getting rain, and we're definitely getting rain on top of more rain. And that's supposed to go on through Saturday, I think. So weather on the coast, looks like Seattle's getting their share of weather and rain. Into the Rockies, Middle America. Looks like the South might be spared, even though they probably get afternoon rain showers being springtime and everything. But we're running a little bit early, and we'll cut out a little bit early. I might be changing the time frame of this gig to maybe a 6:15 to 6:45 thing from now on. We'll see how it plays out. But that's a possibility. Just a thought. Just a FYI. I can't choose that when I select the time for YouTube, so it won't be on the details of the video when you see it going live soon. It doesn't show you it only shows you around that half hour, so can't do much about that. But the top headline here, you can see worst is incoming for California and the Sierras and everything else. They're having mudslides and all that stuff. So let's go check the side chat. We've got a few people jumping in already. Probably everybody complaining about where we've been all week. Mim Long's with us, Walter Davis, Irish USMC vet, and Jay Sparks are with us today. 27 and snow for Mim Long in Kentucky, and Irish has got the snow and rain out in Indiana. Jay Sparks says he got some rain coming. It's been hitting hard there. Yeah, we've got rain for the last day, actually. We're supposed to be getting more for sure. Yeah, we're definitely getting more. Walter Davis, how you doing this morning? Yeah, I don't know what to say about that, Walter. Sometimes we've had a couple of days where we've had some bad glitches, and the system has basically not had video going through. That's either, I don't know if that's internet connection or the servers. Sometimes it's the Google servers, it looks like. It's hard to tell exactly. I'm not the internet genius. But outside of all this weather, which everybody in your own area probably knows about, the Texas bomber situation was, I guess you would say, dramatically resolved yesterday. Everybody tracking that. I think everybody in the back of their mind is automatically thinking a middle-aged white male, because that's kind of the typical MO for that type of event. It's not really making a lot of waves. It's not even on Drudge. None of the links for that event are on the top. already 24 hours out, and it's already gone off the headlines, which is concerning when you consider, hey, what's this guy's motive and what's this guy's situation, and it's already gone off most of the headlines. The narrative hasn't taken hold, and it's like I'm wondering why, because that's a pretty complex thing to do at 24 years old. Go out, multiple bombings, multiple types of triggers. You don't learn that overnight. And yeah, what's the agenda that's going to come out of that? There could be a lot of narratives that came out of it, but it seems like they haven't, because you could be talking about internet control and nail control and battery control and all kinds of stuff that were involved in that really hasn't popped up. It's almost scary when people don't say something and don't tell you their true intentions because you're worried about what they're thinking about. They're going to ban UPS and FedEx. That way the Postal Service has to handle everybody's mail, because Postal Service has all these screening devices in all their facilities that this would never happen to them. But yeah, that story has been buried fairly quickly just about everywhere. And it does make you wonder. At the very bottom here in Drudge, there was an article on our favorite not covered shooting and the Vegas situation and lack of information that came out of that. Still, to this day, 6 months later, we have video of the guy in Texas overnight. We haven't seen a video of Mr. Paddock inside the casino yet. You know what I'm saying? So I guess there is a video that just came out on the Telegraph, of all places. So this is a brand new article, and here it is. You ask and you shall receive, but it is in a British, or actually this is New York Times, my bad, not the Daily Telegraph. So finally we get what we've been asking for here.
And at times chatting with hotel staff. But this picture of an ordinary gambler disguises a far more sinister.
So this is a bunch of cut up edited footage that they got from, you would assume, Metro, but why hasn't this all been out previously?
Over 7 days, hotel staff unwittingly helped him to move bag after bag of weapons to his room.
And I guess that's our saying those are the bags he used to move up to his room. But I don't think that was a service elevator. That was a normal elevator bank.
Checks into a suite on the 32nd floor and books an adjoining room, which he will check into 4 days later. He doesn't immediately bring in suitcases. Instead, he spends 2 hours in the hotel, going to his room.
I can't tell how long the video here is on top of this.
Just before 5 p.m., he drives his Chrysler Pacifica minivan to the valet area, where a bellman loads the luggage cart with 5 suitcases. Paddock asks to stay with his luggage.
Someone dropped this video, this link out in the side chat. It'll be in the description box. So this is the first significant look we've had into this whole situation in 6 months.
And at 9:40 that night, he leaves the hotel, bringing 2 suitcases with him. He drives 1 hour to Mesquite, where he lived. Cell phone records show that he stays the night.
I don't know why I have a British guy explaining me the news in this video audio.
Around 8 p.m., Paddock returns to Las Vegas, where he stops at the Ogden, a downtown condominium.
So there's something for you to check out. This is probably going to drag out for a while because they're just now getting into the event planning and everything. Pre-staged narrative that nobody's had a chance to review yet. So there's that. Definitely check that out. Somebody tear that apart. Because this is 6 months later and we're just now getting it. Okay, we need to hush there. How do I pause this? I have to, you got the link. You get the point. But definitely check that out because we've been asking about video from that whole deal and nothing had been coming out. Go back in the side chat real quick. it was like you guys are talking about the Texas situation. There wasn't a scary black rifle, right, Irish? Well, that's true, but there's still lots of narrative you can pull from this. That's the story just kind of dying, which is even more concerning because that means there's a cover up for some reason. Sparks says he was an amateur. Nails are well. He got nails. They say from Home Depot. That's how they tracked him, is what they say. I think you'd assume he's an amateur because he's only 24 and didn't have any previous affiliations. Like he wasn't in prior military, where you'd get such training to do things like maybe he did. Because again, multiple triggers. It's not an easy thing to learn and a little less do without hurting yourself or burning your house down or something like that. It's kind of odd. The bomb craft as the like with the IRA was an old man's game. It's not something young men stay around for long until they become old men and learn from the elders, if you will. It's definitely a skill craft that is what's the word for it? It's kind of time has come and gone. It's not nearly as well used as it used to be. So we got the California, Texas, we got the weather going on. Again, make sure you're checking out that New York Times article on Paddock because that's the first real breakdown we've had, in that whole 6 months. So now you got to break that apart and be like, well, this doesn't make sense. All right, getting away from the weather and those two events. Our national debt continues to skyrocket, as everybody kind of figured, when you don't have any sort of rational, sane control of finances or your money. This is an article on marketwatch.com. $1 trillion in 6 months, and the Treasury has played tricks and different budgeting and accounting schemes over the years to hide large jumps in debt during the year. There's been periods, and previously in the last 6 or 7 years, where they would go 6 months without even reporting the debt, holding it basically level, and then it would jump up like 500 billion in a day to cover that last 3-4 months. But we'll let you guys peruse this article as the situation continues to devolve. What really can come out of it, as we've said in a couple chats previously, you're only going to get war more than likely out of any situation that comes out of that. It's not going to go well. It's just a matter of when the buttons are pushed to push people over the edge, I guess. Who's not going to put up with the increasing debt and devaluing their lifestyle, currency, way of life, undermining other countries' trade and ability to trade? Our debt does a lot of things to a lot of people, and they don't like it. It does a lot of things to us, and most Americans don't even pay attention to it. Like, it's the way it's always been. Why change it? It's working for us, right? The chickens will come home to roost eventually. It can't hold out much longer, if you know what I'm saying. But put that in the description box. Here was a uplifting story, as I like to call it. One story that might provide hope for all of us. Arizona lawmaker suggesting that we need to build a wall between California and Arizona. This is obviously I believe a state representative, McSally, or is she a congresswoman? But with her concern of immigration, lack of immigration enforcement, sanctuary cities, all the like stuff of that out of California, suggesting building a wall between the two states to keep dangerous criminals out of the state of Arizona. That's I think a lot of people have floated that idea of building a wall between the rest of us and California many times. You have that graphic that goes around like every other week of the wall being built between California and the rest of us. I would suggest some slight modifications. We don't need to cut out the whole state of California, because we could just pull in the state of Jefferson, cut that wall down the western side of the Sierra, because we want the Sierras. They're not giving that to them, because we're gonna make them pay for their water, and then they can have everything south of Sacramento. Maybe cut it something like that. Not giving them the whole state cut off. But that's an interesting concept coming from an elected lawmaker, supposed. Actually, here's the bottom of the article. She's announced a bid. She's running for Senate to replace Jeff Flake, who's retiring. And did we confirm that McCain's not running anymore this year? McCain's out, right? The other seat from Arizona? That just can't happen soon enough, if you know what I'm saying. But probably more to make a statement than really a true concept. But to build a wall between California and her state is just to highlight the utter madness that is California policy on not only illegals but criminals who kill people, murder people in broad daylight, let them off scot-free. In the Kate Stenzel, I can't say her name. I never say her last name right. The situation in San Francisco, lady got killed. Let them walk. 5-time loser, criminal, illegal, things like that. And California just lets it walk. Like, why wouldn't you want to build a wall between your state and want something like that? And following the stories we've been following out of South Africa, this was in the news. This is out of Australia, news.com.au, correct? Australia. It's highlighting once again the plight of the South African farmers that are being pushed off their lands or having land taken from them. Again, the disconnect between the Western press, as we would say, I would call it the British Empire press, basically. Britain, Canada, Australia, those countries, the press, the message they're sending out versus a lot of the South African papers' perspectives show two different situations going on. A lot of the news out of South Africa is basically it's an orderly process. It'll happen over time. It's a legal process. And then the British Empire press, it's basically there's death and destruction being laid against these farmers. It's hard to get. We have seen video, of roving gangs, basically criminals going in and attacking farmers, but government sanctioned events haven't been prevalent like a lot of the fear mongering has gotten to. So we'll see how that situation continues to play out. But one of the political leaders in South Africa here in this article is discussing is suggested that the farmers go to Australia. And the minority opposition party they're talking about is a Marxist party. And so that's part of that agenda, probably. So this is all just going through a lot of the background and a lot of the history. But if you wanted to catch up on that story, this would be a good one to use. Again, an outside perspective. Just at the bottom of the article here, an estimated 500,000 white South Africans have left the country over the last 3 decades, with more than 200,000 settling in Australia. We showed some of that refugee patterns or migration patterns a couple weeks ago. A lot of them going to Spain, France, Britain, other places in Europe. But that's definitely been a trend over the last, it's increased over the last 5 years or so. But a lot of us are under the impression that the hammer is just going to drop one day for these farmers, and it's not going to be pretty unless they voluntarily leave and just drop everything, pretty much their whole life, drop it and leave as refugees. It seems like to be the only thing that most of us perceive is the solution that that South African government wants. But they're not getting that from a lot of the farmers. A lot of them are sticking it out, and they're gonna fight them, if lack of a better word. Resist. But that'll be out there to look into. Let's go back here in the side chat. Got about 10 minutes left. Drop any other news or information you might have, want to discuss. I think that makes it, I think that concludes it for me as far as the list of items I had. Things I had tagged on here, my tabs. Oh, we almost forgot. Guess what this week is? It's government shutdown week once again. Supposedly Congress has been pushing through a bill to fund the government through September 30th, so not a continuing resolution. It actually funds the rest of this year, which should have been funded last year. Go figure. But it's huge, massive. Rand Paul derided it severely yesterday in statements and on Twitter, news interviews. It's a big boondoggle, which is what they do when they rush through big things at the last minute. They all try to get their cut of the pie so that they can pass it. So this is out there. It funds all kinds of big government projects that makes everybody feel good, to feel like they did something. Includes funding for the opioid crisis, border security, and infrastructure. $1.3 trillion spending bill. Striking agreement on some major points of contention. So are they just going to... So they're in a rush to pass it by Friday, when nobody's read it, of course. Old boss, same as the new boss. You couldn't read healthcare. Why would we let you read the budget? Possible vote in the House today. 2,200-page bill. And, of course, another provision to improve gun sale background checks and school safety. What does that really mean? We'd have to find the details. Somebody's probably on that. Somebody might have already torn that apart and revealed the true agenda behind that. But so apparently the president is behind it after talking with the Senate majority and the House leaders. Shared priorities. Funding for the border wall. And the Democrats are happy because it funds their pet projects as well, apparently. Opioid funding, rural broadband. Yes, your government is going to pay for your rural broadband. That's just what we need to waste $1.3 trillion on. Student loans, child care, yada, yada, yada. This bill puts workers and family first, says Chuck Schumer. If he says it, you know it's a lie. Oh, goodness. So watch out for that. That's going to be a bunch of pork. It sounds like they're all on board and happy about it. So that means it'll probably pass before Friday and we won't have a government shutdown. So no more we can't have a celebration about that. But one last thing, like 3 days since I did one of these, but this was yesterday. This came out last night. And the headlines are kind of devoid of this news. Yeah, I don't think I saw it at all this morning in my scanning of and I wanted to bring up a headline to at least celebrate it. And now that I'm thinking about it, I think I got the name confused, and I don't want to do that either. Because I'd hate to celebrate the death of somebody, the wrong person. Dadgummit. Now I'm questioning myself, and I've got the face sitting there right in my mind, and I can't make sure I got it right. Do a quick search. Okay. It took me a second. I'm sure somebody in the side chat can chime in before I find this. Checking out the side chat real quick while I'm searching. So I got a bunch of people commenting. Back up here a little bit. Goodness. Yeah, we got You Can Do It joining us. Good morning. I hope you're enjoying your snow. If you're like us, you might just get in a gully washer, depending on how your snow elevations work out there. Angel R is with us. Yeah, we're going to ban Home Depot, Angel, and the nails they sell, right? Got to protect the kids, right? All right, Jay Spark. Yeah, usually amateur bomb makers usually blow themselves up sooner or later. It was only a matter of time, more than likely. But it was still pretty impressive. He was able to pull that off if he didn't have any formal training. If he just pulled it all off of the internet and the books he read or whatever, that would be pretty, his own trial and error to survive. That would be pretty impressive. Stefan Minkenberg's with us. Good morning. Right. Let Callie lie in their beds. You can do it, right? Barry Wood, good morning, sir. Looks like you're getting some rain like we are down here. And Tactical Tony's with us. Thumbs up across the board. Comment, like, subscribe, right, Tony? And make sure you're checking out Tony's alternate real channel. His Tony Norte Vegas channel is his real main channel now. His Tactical Tony channel's kind of gone the way of the dodo with YouTube's new policies, and they're hitting him with the strikes and whatnot. The Dow down 250, right? Yeah, let's say they're worried about this trade deal, but it's just staying. If you look at the trend, it's pretty much just going sideways for the last month and a half, pretty much ever since the tariff issues, the interest rates, everything have become an issue. Politically Incorrect's with us. Good morning. And Tommy Boy 9. Good morning. All present and counted for. All right. Was it George Soros that died? Did anybody see that article? I posted it on the G+, I'm pretty sure. I'm going to track it down. I keep getting my names confused. Rockefeller, Soros. I don't know which one we'll be more excited about, depending on who it was. Rockefeller. Okay. David Rockefeller. My bad. I get them all the big banker types get so confusing in my mind. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. But there you go. Dead yesterday, 2 days ago, actually. At age 101 in New York. Congenitive heart failure. I'm surprised they didn't give him a heart like Dick Cheney's and just make him go forever, which I think was what we were all afraid of. But he obviously has his people that are going to inherit his great foundational wealth. And we'll see how that gets fought amongst, I guess. But that's some good news for you. We'll see how that works. Did he have any kids? Yeah, he has 6 kids. So sure, they'll get their own portion of everything. We've all been waiting for him to take him out of our misery sooner rather than later. And it finally came. Barry Wood says he died a couple months ago. He had like 12 replacements, right? You never know with people like that. They're so shadowy. They're not public figures. They stay in the shadows. You never know what the true story is. Yeah, politically incorrect brings up a good point. Most of the bomb labs, when you find them in Iraq, they're from accidental explosions because the makers have a little mistake. Yeah, you would expect a 23-year-old American to have a similar incident. Is Zuckerberg related to him, Barry? I didn't know that. So Barry's saying that his grandson is Jacob Zuckerberg. Is that Zuckerberg? Is that Facebook Zuckerberg? Is that his first name? I don't follow such. I can't remember. I know Zuckerberg's the only thing I ever hear. Anyway, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, he definitely could have had enough money to give his grandson to get Facebook running forever. It could probably Facebook never make a dime and get funded off of Rockefeller's fortune there. All right, so that's some updates from today, folks. Quite a bit going on, I guess you'd say. It's still kind of interesting how quickly the Texas stuff went off the headline, but then we get the Easter egg today of the Vegas gunman video coming out today, some in the New York Post and whatnot. So definitely check that out if you've been following that story and the Vegas shooting. It's like what took so long, and it's all chopped up with all these hours and hours of video that should have just been released. And yet the New York Post, it looks like, has the lead on it. Interesting. I'm sure Bikes and Bullets will be able to tear that up fairly quickly. Enjoy the weather where you are, because there's definitely a lot of it going around out there. We're getting our share. The East Coast just got through their big nor'easter. Hope you all guys survived all right. I just saw a notification. Delaware Patriot replied to my comment, so it looks like he made it through the night alive, at least. Probably scathed a little bit. Sounds like they had a lot of power outages and stuff like that, where he was showing all the tree limbs coming down and stuff, taking out power lines and whatnot. But this spring weather has definitely been, the winter was kind of mild, it seemed like, overall. And then this spring came in and it like hit everybody. 4 big storms on the east. Midwest was getting hit pretty hard since March, etc. Good times were had by all. Let's take that off your screen. That's not a good way to end. That was kind of scary looking, wasn't it? But the Dow is down about 250, as we was saying in the side chat there. Tommy boy, it's been a great spring. What are you talking about? You've been getting some pretty good amount of snow too, haven't you, all the way down there? But watch out for that spending bill that's supposed to get passed this week. They're going to blindside us with that. Definitely be on the lookout for what they're going to sneak under the radar, especially if they're supposedly going to improve the gun background check system. That can't be good. Yeah, just watch your six out there. Stay alert. Thanks for coming to the chat. After our technical difficulties the last couple of days, we hadn't been able to get on here. So thanks everybody for joining us. Spread the word. Live free.